Shalom. First and foremost, honor of all praise, honor, glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushua, Bahashem Rakahakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and taught me this truth. Peace, blessings, salutations, and mercies to the elect and the one-third remnant out there listening and doing this word with all faith and sincerity scattered amongst the nations and the four corners of the earth. To you I say shalom. Lord willing, this video is edifying. It's going to be sent around this article that I prepared. We're going to go into it. It's entitled Mass Protest from Amsterdam to Istanbul Denounce Israel's Gaza Genocide. Hundreds of thousands across Europe and the Middle East marched against Israel's ongoing genocide in Gaza, right? These are not my words. This is just the article, right? The world is almost like the world has been awakened to this devil, right? And his crimes in which he continuously, unapologetically commits day in and day out. People are getting tired of it. Okay, here it is in so-called European nations. You having some of the largest protests. I mean, when you look at the pictures of how many people was out there, I mean, it's hundreds of thousands, man. You know, in Europe and the neighboring countries in the Middle East. Okay, but Europe is the more surprising one, or it should be the more surprising one, because, you know, those small hats, they came from Europe, right? That's who their main supporter is, alongside the U.S., right? But here it is. They're being protested in these very same areas, in these very same places. People are fed up with what's going on, okay? Hundreds of thousands of people have poured onto the streets across Europe demanding an end to Israel's 2-year war on Gaza that has killed more than 65 or 67,000 Palestinians and left the enclave on the brink of famine, right? 67,000 dead, most of them women and children. Better believe these numbers are severely skewed, right? They're not going to tell you how many that they out there slaying. But just know, if they telling you 67,000, you know, what's the real number? Because it's not a small number. And most of them are innocent civilians, right? But Esau, he doesn't give a fuck. He doesn't care, okay? All he cares about is his agenda, and his agenda is what? Greater Israel, right? And he's not going to stop. That's why this entire world will be dragged into thermonuclear war because of the actions of this devil, man. Okay, Amalek. All right. The imposter. The largest protest took place in the Netherlands, where around 250,000 people filled Amsterdam's Memorial Square Sunday before marching through the entire center, or city center, because these people understand that there are consequences to what's going on. There will be consequences when you got, you know, here it is. You already got what's going on in Ukraine, right? They at war, a very brutal war, to say the least, right? And then at the same time, Russia's threatening them. And now you got Israel, who is boldly posturing itself up against Iran. And Iran said, pretty much wherever it's an American base, um, it's a target. So that's damn near the whole world, right? So the world is on standby. The world is at all right now because of what is happening right in front of everyone's faces. Draped in Palestinian flags and dressed in red, demonstrators demanded that their government take a harder line against Israel and stop arms exports to the occupying power. See? So Esau, or the Israelis, tribe of Amalek, they thrive off of these. They're like a big old welfare state. Big ass welfare, baby. Right? Everything they get is handed to them. Okay? From on high. From the big homie of Amalek. Right? And he go and he destroys. He destroys, man, till there's absolutely nothing left. The bloodshed must stop, and we unfortunately have to stand here because we have such an incredibly weak government that doesn't dare to draw a line. That's why we are here, and hope that it helps. Said, I'm not going to try to pronounce it, but this is what they're saying in other countries, man, in Norway and Spain and these other countries. They got the sense to say that, right? That their government is weak because they always fold to Israel. But here it is over here in America. Everyday person, probably don't even know where Israel at on the map, right? This is Obadiah 1 and 2. I've made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised, right? Everybody hates this dude because what he goes around doing, he steals, he kills, he destroys, right? The cat's out the bag. Nobody likes you, right? You drag the world into turmoil, then you play victim. You throw missiles in there and hide your hands, and you cry and beg for help and assistance when somebody hits your ass back, right? So these people, these nations are tired of you. That's why the scripture said, and the beast shall hate the whore, because America's going to support Israel until the very, very end. But the EU and NATO, they're not gonna they're not gonna go. They ain't gonna go all the way to hell's door for the cause of these gutter rats, man. Okay, that's why betrayal is imminent. All right, betrayal is imminent. Okay, these European nations are up in arms, man. This is 2 Thessalonians 2 and 8. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. See? So the Lord's revealing the wicked. And we know who the wicked is. The self-proclaimed white man, right? And his lineage. And the chief of his lineage is Amalek. The J-wish peoples. The people over there, the J's, man. The little J's. Over there in the Holy Land, causing trouble, man. Okay, and what's really how is it that it's got to this point? All through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shai, revealing it through his servants, the prophets, starting off with the men of Great Millstone on down, right? Constantly bringing out this fact, right? And this man is destroyed over it. That's why he's rushing and he's making moves to mitigate damage, okay, by buying these different companies and such, because he understands that this truth is what's hurting him. The truth of the matter is why there's people protesting in the streets, all right? Because before, none of this was happening on this scale. But all through the Spirit, he's been exposed up until this point. This is Matthew 24 and 7. For nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows, right? So nation is right. They're rising up against their own governments. As the article spoke on, they believe their government is too soft when it comes to these people. All right. They believe that they're being ran over as a people. They're not being listened to or heard. Okay. And there's a lot of racial tensions just everywhere, especially here in America. Okay. Over there in Europe, too, because immigration is a huge issue over there, because those war-torn cities and countries. Well, the citizens of those places, they're migrating up into places that aren't war torn, like France, like Spain, like England, right? Like Germany. Okay, and it's causing racial tensions over there. All these are the beginning of sorrows, right? Because food prices, everything is more expensive. Okay, with these different wars happening, different materials is going to be more expensive, and eventually they're not going to be around at all. Because when certain corridors get shut off and certain places get bombed, and certain relationships are cut, so are the things that flow from these different places and nations, man. Okay, and this will be a global conflict. It's not just going to be like one country, one nation. It's Luke 21:25, and there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars. And we see all of those constantly, signs in the constellations, right? Blood moons, okay? Different things going on in the heavens, right? And upon the earth, distress of nations with perplexity. See? Distress of nations, 250,000 people out there marching. And, that's just in one place. The sea and the waves roaring. People are upset, man. Okay? They're about ready. Men's hearts failing them for fear and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth, and the powers of heaven shall be shaken. See? So people ain't even, wait until they see what beholds them, right? What's coming their way, which is famine, pestilence, great violence, especially here in America, man. You Americans, America has another thing coming, okay? Because right now, people are still in La La Land, still don't know what's going on, act like they don't know what's going on. But eventually, you won't be able to pretend and do that. Okay, it's going to be right here in your face. And when it is here, you're going to lose your mind. Okay, as scripture said, men's hearts filling them for fear. Okay, because people ain't going to know what to do when these things happen. So with that, I give all praise and the glory to Yahweh, Bashim El Shah, Bashim Rakakwadaswa, Bababal, and DTA.